Hey there, guys. How you doing today? So, one thing that I struggle with a lot in my life when it comes to socializing, interacting with other people, is I kind of keep a lot of things to myself. I don't really share a lot of about who I am with people. I often am nervous to say what I think. I often just am quiet around people, and I realize that because I'm so insecure and not comfortable around people, that means that they're not really comfortable around me. That means that they are not going to uh, be open with me, perhaps, and that just means that I'm not really able to truly connect with people. I never am going to have deep, meaningful relationships because of a lack of vulnerability. And this is something that I think about a lot. I isolate myself from people. I feel lonely a lot, and some of it has to do with all of this social anxiety and stuff that I feel. And when I look at what are the right things for me to do, how can I start having these more meaningful connections with people? How can I truly feel like I'm being myself around others? And what I've been reading about recently is authenticity. So, what I want to say in this video, if there's one thing that I've learned, if there's one thing that I want you to take away, it's that authenticity, as far as I can tell, is the foundation of having meaningful connections with people. Uh, Authenticity builds trust. When you are able to be yourself around other people, they will in turn be themselves around you. And that just creates this openness, this vulnerability, which just sort of, hey, I trust you. Let's tell each other what we think. Let's do stuff together. And those shared thoughts, those shared experiences with people, that's what creates long lasting, meaningful, deep connections and relationships. So I think that authenticity is key. And I wanted to say that to you guys because that's just sort of something that I really believe in. Um, Now, I'm a little bit nervous to even bring up this topic of authenticity. Is it even worth mentioning? And I guess it's just because it sounds a lot like I'm saying just be yourself. And I know I've been told, "Hey, just be yourself," when I was younger, and I've always thought that that was kind of dumb advice because when am I never when am I not being myself? Like, I'm always being myself. I'm just and it actually, when I am being myself, that's just not good enough. People maybe don't like me, right? The whole point of why I might be nervous is because I hate myself. I don't want to be myself. I want to be different because maybe if I'm different, people will like me. So there is this process that people go through in life of trying to learn who am I, right? Who like what is my identity, right? And in that process, people will look towards trying to fit in with people. And when you try to fit in with people, you are trying to meet their expectations. You are trying to be them, kind of, right? You are um you're kind of you're kind of uh, molding yourself into what society wants you to be. You are conforming. That's the word I was looking for. You're conforming to social norms, or you're trying to live for other people's approval. And whenever you try to do that, whenever you try to be something that you're not, you know, it might come across as being fake, as not being genuine, as not being authentic. And um, I think that it's possible that other people can tell. Uh, I think that being inauthentic, being fake, is something that is kind of a turn off to people. So if you're trying to make friends with somebody, if you're trying to, get involved romantically with somebody, or if you're just trying to have better, meaningful connections with people that either professionally or your family, like a lot of times if people get the sense that you're not truly being yourself, or if you're not authentic, they might not be as interested in the relationship, and that might lead to a little bit of a disconnect there. So, um, What I've learned or what I believe about authenticity right now is that, first of all, being authentic encourages you to be vulnerable. But it also encourages you to actually go on this process, this journey of self reflection. And the more you reflect on who am I? What do I really want? What am I really interested in? What do I want to do in my life? Like, what do I really think about things? How do I really feel? When you really take the time to build that self awareness, you begin understanding who you are and shape sort of an identity. And when you start acting in a way where you're not being fake anymore, when you stop pretending to be something you're not, when you stop trying to fit in with people, when you stop caring what other people think about you, what their judgment is, suddenly, instead of living uh, in accordance to external like factors, instead of trying to conform to the outside world, getting that approval from people, suddenly you will start acting in alignment with your internal values, your internal sense of self, and because you know who you are and you know what you believe and you know what you want. And when you start living that way, you are truly living authentically, and people can see that. And I think that's going to make it a lot easier to connect with people when you truly are being yourself around people, when you're truly being authentic. That just creates this environment in a relationship where you can be yourself around them, and they will feel comfortable opening up to you. And of course, that just leads to, I think, deeper connections. So, in a way, I'm saying just be yourself, right? That advice that everybody hates, being authentic, it's almost another way of saying be yourself. But I think that there is a little bit more to it, right? It's just how you live. It's how you think about yourself. It's what your identity is. And there's a process of self-reflection that goes into discovering what like who you are for yourself, right? And you know, but I think that the more confident you become, the more vulnerable you can become around people and comfortable being yourself. And you can tell, right? The first time you meet somebody, you can tell if they're holding back. You can tell if they're, perhaps putting on a polite persona, if they're, being professional around you, or if it's because it's like the first time you meet somebody, you don't want to say anything, you know, you don't want to expose too much of yourself. That's the idea of not being vulnerable, right? And that might be appropriate in certain settings, is not going all the way. But I don't know, maybe you've met somebody at some point where from the moment you met them, they just started telling you a story of some crazy thing that they did when they were younger, and you're just like, wow, this person doesn't care, right? You can tell when somebody is being authentic. You can tell if somebody is willing to go there from the get-go, that they're being authentic. And that's something that I aim to do. I want the first time that I meet somebody, I want to know that I can be myself, that I can be confident in who I am, and that I can be authentic. And that's something that I'm going to try to do in my life. And I thought I would just share with you this idea of being authentic and authenticity. Like, it's just, the more I think about it, the more I think that this is actually what people need to connect with people. And I also feel like it's the, because the number one thing that I want in my life is just to feel good about myself, build confidence in myself. And I think that being authentic is the starting point for that as well. So maybe authenticity isn't talked about a lot. Um, Maybe people kind of don't like the advice of, hey, just be yourself. So people don't really look into it a lot. But maybe this is something that you struggle with. Maybe you need to be authentic in your life. And I don't know. I just thought I would bring this up. I'm trying to be insightful here and helpful to people that might need it. But yeah, I don't know. I just, I think talking about loneliness like I have on this channel and not having friends and whatnot, it just leads me down this path of like trying to learn why people really struggle with making these connections with others. And I do think that there's an element of not having that awareness of who am I and not being authentic, and it's people tend to try to fit in too much and live for other people's approval, and not really know themselves. And yeah, so I don't know, I guess that's it. So let me know what you think about just this idea of being authentic, and whether or not you think it's a good thing. I mean, obviously it's a good thing. I don't know. Like it's a weird thing for me to even talk about this stuff because I feel like it's kind of obvious and kind of maybe I don't know. I don't know if it's unnecessary to talk about. Man, I could talk about a lot of things, and at the end of it, I could always say, "Yeah, but this is unnecessary to even mention because it should be obvious." But maybe it's not obvious to people, and I don't know. I second guess myself a lot in terms of even talking about this stuff. But I don't know. I've kind of already gone down the rabbit hole of self help and whatnot, and I'm trying to just make sense of what I've learned and try to apply this stuff actually to my life. And I think that the way that this actually does look, practically speaking, if you want to know what does this look like in life, being authentic, it means being honest with people, telling people what you really think, telling people what you really believe, living in alignment with your values, and not being fake, and that's just kind of what it is. But I don't blame people for trying to fit in. I don't blame people for looking for other people's approval because some people are just at that stage in their journey of becoming who they want to be. And I don't know, it's just I don't blame people, for anything. I think that being authentic is such an important thing. I think that it is the foundation for having deeper, more meaningful connections with people. So that is the video for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something from it. Hope you enjoyed it at the very least. Thank you for listening to me. Um, if you guys are new to the channel, if you're new here, subscribe and whatnot. Leave a comment on your thoughts. I mean, is being authentic just another fancy way of saying be yourself? And is that kind of useless advice? I don't know. I thought I would say it anyway. So I'll get going. Have a great rest of your day, guys. I will see you in my next video.